The SNP will see a decline in support due to the UK protecting Scotland from the full force of the coronavirus economic shock, according to a Scottish Conservative councillor. Tony Miklinski told Express.co.uk the level of support for the SNP, which continues to push Scottish independence, will depend on how Scotland comes out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr Miklinski backed the UK government's broad shoulders to shield Scotland from the full impact of the economic consequences the coronavirus crisis will bring. Mr Miklinski said, "I don't see the support for the SNP increasing, I see them as slipping. It will depend on to a large extent how we come out of COVID-19. It will depend on the extent to which people realise the advantages in a shock to the world system of being part of the UK's broad shoulders. The UK will be able to take the economic shock that goes with it and protect the Scots. That it was what the UK is doing, protecting the Scots from the full impact of it. That will play very strongly, I certainly hope. We will never touch the hardcore of the SNP support." However, earlier this week political scientist Professor John Curtis revealed there has been a shift in support towards Scottish independence from both pro-EU and Brexit supporters in Scotland. The politics expert told Times Radio the coronavirus pandemic may have led to a rise in support for Scottish independence. Professor Curtis said, "The polls this year are saying that both groups have become a bit more pro-yes, although Remain voters are still much more likely to be in favour of yes than Leave voters. Leave voters are now switching to some degree. It is no longer obvious whether this most recent increase is to do with Brexit as opposed to something else. The most obvious something else is of course coronavirus." He continued, "It is probably true that more people across the whole of the UK, not least England, now realise that quite a lot of life in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland is not run by the UK government in London. It is run by the developed administrations. Health and public health are all devolved responsibilities. Those devolved responsibilities have been exercised fundamentally for everyday life for people in Scotland.